Hello friends, today we are going to talk about a topic which might be of interest to many of you watching this video, which is on spoken English errors. Well, all of us have to speak in English because that's a universal global language all across the world. Well, we might face challenges in terms of spoken English. While many of us may be very well versed with written English, it may become a challenge for many of us to kind of understand how and what are the rules and regulations for spoken English. Well, fear not and worry not, we will talk in detail about this particular module on how to speak correct English. Well, on the agenda today we will talk about what exactly is spoken English. We will talk about some common mistakes and errors while we speak in English. Example, use of double negatives, use of wrong tenses, use of two comparative and superlative degrees together, incorrect use of I and me, use of words like revert and reply back, confusion between does and do. We will also speak on certain tips in order to improve our spoken English. Well, let's get started right away. What exactly is spoken English? Well, English is a tricky language and I'm sure you will agree English is also a very funny language at times. There are various sets of rules that we need to keep in mind while reading, writing or speaking this particular language. Though speaking is the way fastest mode of learning how to speak in a very fluent manner. Well, common mistakes that most of us go through while we are speaking in English, use of double negatives. Now, what are double negatives? We tend to use double negatives while we are speaking. Example, she didn't see nothing. Now, that is grammatically wrong because it means she must have seen something. In order to not make a double negative out of this, the right example to say it is, she didn't see anything. When we say she didn't see anything, rather than saying she didn't see anything or rather she didn't see nothing. Well, grammatically the second sentence is more correct because it doesn't negate the negatives. Hence, please keep in mind this particular rule. The second common mistakes where many of us which might make is with regards to our tenses. Now, simple tense, continuous tense, perfect tense and perfect continuous tense. We will look at this with help of examples. Well, present tense is verb, that is verbs plus am, is or are. The past tense of it becomes the second form, which is regular or irregular, and the future will be will plus the verb that the person is doing. Verb is the action that the person is doing. It could be dancing, it could be acting, it could be walking, it could be jumping. So present, past and future is with regards to the verb that we are using. Continuous tense is with regards to present, which is am, is or are, plus the verb plus ing. The past would be was, were, plus the verb plus the ing, and the future would be will be plus verb plus ing. Perfect tense would be have or has plus the third form. The past tense would be had, which is in the past, so had plus the third form, and future would be will have plus the third form. Well, perfect continuous is something which is happening in terms of the tenses, and that is have, has been plus verb plus ing, that is the present. Well, the past would go like had been plus verb plus ing, and the future would be will have been plus the verb plus the ing. Well, use of the wrong tenses can be complete disaster when you are speaking in English. We tend to use the wrong tenses while speaking. Example, this is just one odd example that I'm sharing. She didn't bought the car. Now that's grammatically wrong because didn't is never followed by a past tense word. So the correct way to say it is she didn't buy the car. Please understand, friends, that the way you use your tenses is very essential because if your spoken English does not have the right grammar, it can lead to a very bad impression. Well, now we're going to talk about some comparatives and superlatives. This is again one of the common mistakes or errors which people make while they're speaking in English. Comparative is when we use comparison, when we want to say a thing or a particular person is more than something else. For example, my dog is bigger than yours. So I'm comparing my dog with your dog, and that's comparative. Second is my sister is younger than me. Again, a comparison. Younger than whom is a question over here. So again, comparatives is one thing. Superlatives is when we use superlatives when we want to say a thing or a person is the most of that particular group. Please realize the way most has been underlined over here. There's nothing that goes above it. So that is the whole and soul, and that's the end point of that particular thing. For example, John is the tallest student, which means there is nobody taller than him. So I'm not comparing John with anybody because he is the tallest in the class. Second example is Antarctica is the coldest place in the world. So there is nothing colder than Antarctica. That's how we are saying that superlative, we are not comparing, it is the most of that particular thing. Use of two comparative or superlative degrees together. A sentence should never have both comparative and superlatives degree together. It's important to use them independent and individually. Example, isn't this more better? More is the comparative of much and better is for good. Rather than saying, isn't this more better? What we can do or say is, the correct sense is, isn't this better? So well friends, that's something that we need to keep in mind. This is again one of the common errors in speaking English. Common mistakes again is the incorrect use of I and me. We usually get confused between when do we use I and when do we use me. Example, Ken and me are going to the movies, which means I is the subject and me is the object. A better way to say it and correct grammar would be Ken and I are going to the movies, which sounds better and is also grammatically right. Well, certain words like revert back or reply back means the same, but we use it in a way which is both of them together. So kindly revert back is wrong English, is wrong, grammatically wrong, because revert and reply back is meaning the same. For example, please revert or reply back to the mail, which is wrong. Instead, please revert or / reply to the mail is the right way. So please do not use it together. Revert and reply back means one and the same thing. Well, there can be a lot of confusion between does and do. So when do we use does and when do we use do? We have to understand that does is used for singular subject, whereas do is indicative of the plural forms. For example, why does they always reach late? That is again grammatically incorrect. A better form of this would be the correct sentence, why do they always reach late? So instead of does, you change it to do because you're using in a plural way when there are many people together. Well, there are certain tips in order to improve your English language, and I'm not saying that it can be done over a fortnight or a week. You have to continuously practice how to speak in English. Let me share with you certain tips of doing that. First thing is read newspapers, magazines and books which will help you to build the vocabulary, which will help you to speak more fluently and correctly. Second is record your voice while you're speaking in English and listen back to that particular voice, which will give you an idea of where you're going wrong. Next is try to speak in English as much as possible, whether it's at home or at workplace. Get into the habit of practicing in English. No matter, even if you might be making certain errors and mistakes, it's absolutely all right as long as you're able to correct and practice more. Watch English movies and listen to English songs, which will again help you to improve your English. Well friends, to conclude this particular module on spoken English errors, it is important to understand that English is a very important language, something that you need to use very frequently when you are working in a professional and a corporate environment, and it is only essential and imperative that we learn how to speak the correct English. I do hope you have liked watching this particular video. Keep liking, keep watching more videos coming your way. Do feel free to leave in your comments in the comment box. Thank you.